once again, she stopped me. I'm working on taking the dash out. Get the dash out, get the steering column out. And it's the only real safe way to be able to fix the rust holes in the upper cowl there. And plus, like I said, when I do something, I want to do it right. I don't want to just patch it. I could reach back there, pack it full of Bondo and sand it down and sell it, but that's not, I don't do things that way. Some crazy person has run 13,000 screws through the firewall there, but I got a few more to go. Then I can take the supports out that hold the steering column up and try to work the steering column out. Then I'll take the dash off, all the wiring out. But anyways, enjoy watching me taking screws out. Moaning and groaning. To the people that haven't done this before, I'm telling you, I haven't done this before, but I've done a lot of different things, but they all work. Everything basically works the same way. It's got to go back. Me and my granddad had a saying that a man put it together, a man can take it apart. So whether you do it right, or you do it wrong, or you break something, the thing about it, if you break something, at least you'll know next time how not to break something. And it sounds silly, but it's so true, because I have broke a lot of stuff in my life. But you know, I've fixed a lot too. I'm just clipping the wire tie here. Trying to find, okay, all these connections. That one popped out of there. We'll put it back so I don't lose it. All right. So I think that's what was holding me.
Wait a minute, you're getting caught on the brake.
Yeah, you're correct. Thank you. Please. Good job. All right. Dash is out, steering column. Keep disassembling. I'm gonna pull it all out, everything. Hey guys, I guess the first thing I'm gonna do is remove this hinge support. Well, first thing you need to do is get you a sketch pad, get all your measurements, pull dimensions from your striker plate face to your hinge support face, mark your points, mark where you measured from, because you won't remember. I went all the way around the Bronco earlier this morning and took measurements. You don't get it right, your door's going to look weird, it's not going to line up, it's just going to cause you trouble in the future. Since I'm replacing this whole piece, I'm going to cut it above the rocker. I'm going to just sort of cut down this seam here, then I'll end up splitting this piece. I'll drill out the spot welds. I'll do the same with this other side so I can remove this whole piece here. Hey guys, here's a funny thing. When you start getting into these projects, I was going to go ahead and start removing the quarter, and I didn't, as you saw earlier, I don't take you don't really have to get really precise when you start cutting this off, because you replace it. I sort of try to cut outside the bounds a little bit, and then I'll surgically start removing it. But the more I see, the more I feel the right thing to do is to go ahead and use the full floor pan I have there in the floor and just replace the whole floor in this Bronco. I was really hoping I wasn't going to have to, because the supports are in really good shape underneath. A lot of people will do stuff like this, and You know, this is ridiculous. You can see how heavy the Bondo is in there. When you find stuff like this, it's a little disheartening, and if you're doing restorations, you're going to find this stuff. Joni's used to it, thank goodness. The biggest thing is the expense. It costs a lot of money, you know. So what we're going to do is we're going to order a few extra pieces and parts that we need to do it right. I'm going to go ahead and you can see it probably a little bit better at this angle. I'm going to go ahead and get a floor. This floor is pretty pitted, and I'm just going to go ahead and replace the floor. This is just going to be a jam up Bronco. So let's do it. Stop complaining about it and start cutting. It's just steel, right? What I've done is I have just sort of put some supports. You know, I'm still held up front. Just got some lumber, and right now before I cut it, I'm just going to support the body where it is. That doesn't mean I'm going to put it back just like this. I've taken a bunch of measurements prior to cutting this thing, but as you can see, I was pulling back some of this fiberglass repair that this guy did, so I can just go ahead and cut this off. So all this is overlaid in Bondo, and then he put fiberglass over the top of it. It's just, I can't handle that. So anyways, I did the same thing underneath. Got some blocks of wood. Gonna hold the bed where it is, and I'm gonna start cutting.
Okay, so this is what I walk into. This is what I catch him doing.
Ah.
What happened to the floor?
It was crap. Total crap. So it's gone. So I cut it out.
Are you having a meltdown?
No.
Are you having a temper tantrum?
No. This is part of the... She laughed at me yesterday because I stood out here and I stared at it for an hour to get a game plan. And then once I feel comfortable with my game plan, I just come and start hacking. So, as Chip Gaines would say, demo day! So we're demoing. It is what it is. All right, so this is what I'm doing right now. First, I took the torch and got some of the hard spots. This thing had so much fiberglass on it, it was a pain, as you can see on the floor. Anyways, I cut the floor out. I took 1,000 measurements, so I can't stress that enough. Take measurements before you do it, so when it comes time to put it back together, you can square it and get it back where it's supposed to be. So, anywho, what I'm doing right now, I am separating the old floor pan from the steel that's going to stay. I'm going to replace the floor and the bed later. Well, I say later, I need to get the floor pan put back in so I can continue to keep it square. So I will probably tack it in using the corners and then move to the back. So anyways, I'm stripping the rockers off of the B-pillars, and you just drill the spot welds out, and this is where I'll come back in and fill them back, re-weld it back up, and then grind them smooth.
And the rockers were not as in good a shape as you thought they were in.
No, that was another nice
Surprise.
surprise.
Surprise, surprise!
So, anyways, I can make it right. It's just the expense. Know how much you want to spend before you get started, because I guarantee you will spend some money.
And then double what you anticipate. Not only your money, but your time.
Sometimes. I'll be done with this tomorrow.
Yeah, the fast-forwarded version.
2 weeks.
No 2 weeks.
Anyways, I'll continue stripping and we'll get more video when I get all this cleaned up. You can see I sort of already started at the firewall. This gets covered with the new piece. This will actually all be underneath. The new floor pan will lay on top, and I'll be able to weld this one from underneath. It'll give it a much cleaner look. And of course I've got new floor pans front. All the upper area here will be replaced also. So, getting there. Goodbye. Have a good day.